This war without rules is his latest. It makes you think about where we stand now. General, let me ask you a little bit about these attacks on U.S. soldiers, are beefing up the number of boots on the ground, 900 more troops. Now, this does appear to be very much an escalating conflict. Can you think it stay that way or be contained?
Well, I guess as long as we're not going after who's starting it, which is really Iran. I mean, I cannot believe that we think that we're going to deter Iran by hitting proxies in Syria. They're just going to continue to further, up the ante. If you go back to when we bombed General Qasem Soleimani, they got the message really fast. And so you're going to have to go after Iran if you want to de-escalate the situation. You can't basically expect that they really care about you hitting their proxies.
All right, but we seem to care about hitting Iran directly. I can understand some of those concerns, but Israel is clearly agitated to the point of wanting to take action itself against Iran. How likely is that?
Well, probably very likely if this continues. And I think I would not blame them. And quite frankly, I cannot fathom why we wouldn't go after Iran, particularly as a message to say stop. And the only way that you're going to give them that message is if you threaten directly the Iranian leadership. They will not respond to this type of proxy attack. This is going to be a useless effort that doesn't really stop them. Again, go back to General Qasem Soleimani. They got the message right away and de-escalated. So if you want to de-escalate, you have to go after the Iranian leadership in a real way. Make them feel threatened.
Let me ask you, it's an ancillary issue, but it was one I did want to raise with you. A lot of federal government officials here in this country, General, have been talking about crypto firms not helping terrorists out, that there must be more financial transparency. They're looking at funding for terrorist groups. We know that this Hamas attack back on October 7th was largely financed through an untraceable crypto funds. What do you make of that and what we can do to stop that, if we can stop that?
Well, I'm going to just go ahead and say, and people are going to be unhappy with this, I'm not a fan of crypto in terms of national sovereignty. I think the only one that should be coining currency in the country is the federal government. It's how we maintain, our federal republic. I understand kind of the novelty or, the other nature of using a distributed currency, but ultimately is going to be used by people that want to keep, off the radar, which means it's going to facilitate terrorism and criminal behavior.
General, do you think Hamas appreciated the magnitude of the response it's seeing now, that the 100-fold response on the part of Israel, our actions against these, surrogates acting on Iran's behalf, Saudi Arabia then knocking down a Houthi rebel missile coming from Yemen? They're distinct and different, I grant you. But it does make you wonder about the wisdom or their strategy then, unless they were envisioning this would create a global jihad. Of course, Khomeini himself thought that was something that would happen after 9/11, and it did not. So I'm just wondering what you make of it.
Well, I'll take you back to the beginning of your broadcast where you talked about who's benefiting from this, and that's Putin. And through their relationship, so is China. So this is part of a broader effort. It's the second Cold War. This is expanding. It will expand into Asia next. And the idea here is to overwhelm and eventually bankrupt the United States, the same as we eventually did to the Soviet Union. So we've been taking a very bad approach to this. And quite frankly, we need to reassess, understand the global situation, and prepare for a long fight.
General, a lot has been said and second-guessed about the wisdom of Hamas's early attacks and what the upside could be to the butchery and just the audacity of it. And that there now is concern that they're in for a major beating, but they're then trying to attach that to building global sympathy for whatever Israel launches in Gaza. How does the Western world respond to that?
Well, it's difficult because now the Hamas is essentially getting exactly what they wanted, which is, 24/7 coverage. And this is basically the goal. The goal was not so much the attack, it's the aftermath and the outcome and the propaganda value of, what happens. And so they really want this attack to come on. And it seems counterintuitive. Who would want, this type of invasion to happen to them? But Hamas doesn't care about the people. They only care about the propaganda value that that happens when those people are killed and injured.
General, well,
unfortunately.
I'm sorry to jump on you there, sir. You're a former B-2 stealth bomber pilot, though you know of what you speak when it comes to, close encounters. You heard about this other B-52 that came within, or Chinese aircraft that came within 10 feet of it. And I'm just wondering, in the middle of all of this, China is being provocative as all get at.
Well, they really are. And what you're seeing is, so their strategy really, if you look at it, they talk about it all the time. We need 4 distractors for the United States. That is Russia, that is Iran, that is North Korea, and the 4th is terrorism. So they see this as a strategy to keep us overwhelmed and distracted while they pursue their efforts militarily in their region, but also globally in terms of influence. So they're trying to create a world where most of the world doesn't believe or respect the United States. And this is a very effective way to go about it because, quite frankly, our military is getting overwhelmed at the moment, and it's going to get even worse as this war escalates in the Middle East and spreads to Asia.
And as you predicted only a couple of weeks ago when we were last chatting, General, I want to thank you very much, and more so for your incredible service to this country. Thank you, General.